If I'm audible, just, stay put. If I'm not, explode the chat and tell everybody that I'm not audible, so that I can know.
You are perfectly audible.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. So as you can see on the screen, this is no special. This is no ordinary session. This is no, everyday session. You will not find these sessions everywhere on the internet. This is a very special, very extraordinary, session that I'm trying to take here for free. That's the USP. So this is a zero to hero data scientist in 30 minutes ka crash course, and I don't have the space on this slide to insert a very emotional human story, which makes me sound like I've done something which makes me capable enough to give this session out to you. But just think that there is one, and just insert it in your heads, and you'll be good to go. So yes, so Narayan Sharma, a very very emotionally prepared human who has struggled through his life to finally make it to the top and become a data scientist. And now that he's become one of those people who has a sexiest job in this century, he'd want to talk about you, and tell you how you can also get that job. And probably 30 minutes is enough for you to get that job and make that transition. If you are an SDE, if you are a software development engineer in test, if you are an analyst, if you are anybody in tech, it becomes easier for you. It'll probably be 15 minutes for you. You'll become the scientist in like in half an hour. But anyways, if you're non-tech, I'd ask you to wait around a little bit, maybe a couple of days, and we can then move ahead. So the order of the day is this. I'm going to talk a little bit about what I do, in my job, which is very appealing to, I think, half the people that are here. Then we'll talk about, how to do, what I do, and then just set the expectations right so that you can quickly and extremely rapidly climb up the ladders and move that, space for yourself. So let's move. Let's dive in. Disclaimer. I'm sorry. Should have said this before. I am not a central tendency, By the way, now that we are discussing data science or data in general, I'm going to throw around stuff like this: central tendency, mean, median, mode. It's to sound smart because this is what I get paid for. But what this means is that I am not representative, of the population of all data scientists. I am not, a significant, you can say, representation of the population in general. I don't represent the entire distribution. What I represent is my own view, and of the people that I know, and of the industry that I work in, primarily in India. Right. So again, kaha suna maaf. Whatever biases I have, they will, unambiguously flow through this conversation. So please have that filter in your heads and try to see through the biases. All right. Just insert a witty question to sound smart, and I'll give you a cookie as well. Let's move ahead. This is the general reaction which I get when I tell people that I work as a data scientist. This has happened not just in family conversations, but also on Hinge and on dates and around people in bars, and they think this is really fancy. And I often laugh out loud simply by this reaction that I get. And I think this is very funny. I've often felt hiding the fact that I work as this guy to people simply because this is too funny and they react to me like this. They say, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, are you a data scientist? Oh my God, so fancy. Wow. And this is where we go wrong, because I want to tell you what is so fancy and what is exactly funny. Everything that people think that I do is funny, because this is either what I don't do, or if I do, it's just not fancy, right? So let me open it up to you a little bit. This is I'm going to walk you through my, average day. This is the average day at the sexiest job of 21st century. This is 10 a.m. I'm trying to debug a code, which has thrown an error probably last night. I was working till 4 a.m. Something probably, just, got hung somewhere, and I thought I'll fix it. Couldn't fix it. Slept on my bed with my laptop on my, tummy, and then I woke up, and at 10 a.m. I'm trying to fix a bug, my morning, right? 12 p.m. I'm doing the same thing, trying to fix the bug, and it doesn't go fix itself. 2 p.m. I probably fixed the bug, but now I'm deep diving into what I'm building so that I can get more bugs, and then I can fix them the next day, 10 a.m. And I'll move forward through the day. This is 4 p.m. One of my applications, which I deployed, a machine learning application, they've received too much of traffic. And because of that, the load balancer has crashed. And there are other applications from the same server as I have. And these applications need to be moved to another server. And that requires manual migration. We are required to move the application out of that server and put it somewhere else because we want it to be available for people to use it, right? That's a mechanical job. But that's us who do it because nobody really knows how to move a model, because models are 4 GBs, 8 GB is huge. We have huge data sets. We have to move them out. And this is just as simple as typing an SCP command in the terminal. The ones who know this will know this. But that's what I'm doing here, right? That's 4 p.m. 6 p.m. Uh, Often I thought when I was trying to, get to working in the start of my career that journaling is a very nuanced and beautiful way of categorizing and organizing your daily work. You journal about what you did, what's next, what's your to-dos. This is my journal. These are my to-dos. And these ones and zeros are vectors, are embeddings, are matrices, which I have prepared imaginatively because I want to code them out in some kind of a code flow. This will also include, if you see closely, probably my libraries, which I want to install. I have written done against some of them, and this will generally go into my decision making, my presentations, my storytelling, my code base. Everything will come out of this notebook, of this, journal, this beautiful little journal. Once I've done, this throughout the day, I've fixed my code. I have built new code. I have deployed applications alongside servers. I've also mentored a couple of people, and I have noted my stuff down through the day. I will build a nice story. I'll build a PPT. And this is not a picture taken out of Google. This is my genuine PPT. I can be incarcerated. This is public data. This is Naukri data that I'm trying to, let out, but this is very non-contextual for you, so you can't make it. Anyway, it's matrices. Nobody gets it. So what I'm doing here is I'm trying to build a storyline of what I've done in my code. And I have to present it to like 8 different stakeholders from the product team, from the testing team, from the tech team, from the QA team, from the data science team, and from probably sometimes even the marketing team together in one go. So these things have to be technical and non-technical at the same time. And I'm sorry, I forgot. This was my day during a day like this, because these are my meetings scattered around, a week full of work for me is this. Whatever white spaces you think I have in the middle are the places that I'm working. The blue places, I'm enjoying my meetings with, my lovely stakeholders and my colleagues. This happens to be an average day in the life of, the sexiest job of 21st century. I'll take a dramatic pause, wait it out for 5 seconds, let the air cool down, and now gracefully move ahead. Let's talk about, now that you know what my job is like, why I'm here, right? I'm here to tell you a little bit about transitioning from software engineering to data science, probably. I'm also here to talk about how data science in general, or, machine learning in general behaves in an industrial setting. I'm also talking about a little bit as to what the industry really is doing right now, given that we are in a state of some kind of a recession. And I am also talking about what is to be done and what is to not be done in order to have the right results for you. Because again, I kid you not, this is a 30-minute crash course to being a data scientist, right? So let's start talking about the control parameters first. I think there are 5 control parameters which define a career in tech. This is again me, and I'm not a central tendency. First is, of course, the duties, what the KRAs are. You saw my duties. This can vary from person to person. Of course, you go find a data scientist in BCG or in McKinsey, you would probably see half the things, are just PPTs, a couple of hours of code every week, and things change around. Skills, probably the most important thing, not just for you to get hired, but for you also to get fired. Skills are, the most important of them all. Then the background of you, the education. A couple of questions I received around certifications, and I think certifications don't really matter. I'd probably take it up in a different sense, but yes, I'll call it, extra education, or I'll probably say courses, online, courses or whatever. And then the job outlook, or generally the industry outlook. So these are the control parameters. Let's talk about these things on and off. I'll not try to, sequentially move through all of them, but let's deep dive a little bit here and be my guest. First thing I want to start off with here is that, what is the industry perspective, in terms of the skill sets, or the duties, or the general KRAs. KRAs? Anybody knows KRAs? Is this an interactive session, Niharika? Can I just talk to people?
I can post something on chat and they can
Oh,
reply over there.
never mind. We'll have a Q&A later on. We'll probably start talking then. So
Yeah.
anyway, so key responsibility areas, we want to, talk about what exactly does the industry expect out of you, right? Let me show you 2 job postings that I picked up from the internet. Right? I do not know if this is extremely clearly legible, but let me just, read through a few of them, the lines. On the left-hand side, I have, by the way, I forgot to put it, these are both different job openings for data scientists, right? On the left-hand side, you see, set KPIs and goals, design and evaluate experiments, monitor key product metrics, understand root cause of changes in metrics. Fluency in SQL is required as a minimum qualification, and Python or any other scripting language is an advantage. Advantage. This is my bread and butter, and I'm a data scientist. Right. On the right, we have search ranking, recommender systems, computational advertising and ranking, learning to rank, deep learning to match query, understanding intent. And then the requirements, they dramatically shift from a 3-year experience grad in quantitative analysis to a PhD degree or a master's degree in computer science. This doesn't happen in software engineering. Let me start with that. Most of the SDE, SE jobs have a similar mandate, right? A front-end role across companies will require you to have similar kind of, skills, except probably the versions of the tools might change. Probably somebody wants a different stack of engineering. Somebody wants a Vue.js guy. Somebody wants some, mean, or somebody wants an Angular guy. On the back end, somebody wants a Node guy. Somebody wants a Go guy. Somebody wants a Python guy. But the idea is, you will always have things which are systematically similar towards the front end hiring of things, towards the back end hiring of things, and towards the database hiring of things. Over here, things change dramatically, and yet these are both the same job. So is it potato, or is it just potato and strawberry or whatever, a khana? And that's the problem. The industry for a long time didn't wake up to the idea of specific hiring within data professionals. And any single person who worked with data and also probably some bit of engineering was called a data scientist. And then things changed so dramatically over the last 3-4 years that coding became really easy, and everybody started churning out data in every company. And all of them, literally all of them, who were working on things starting from Excel to applied deep learning, were called as data scientists. And hence, people like us, could be really fooled because somebody has started a course which is selling to make someone equipped enough to be a data analyst. But since the industry probably would have a job which would call it data scientist, in a sense, they can advert it, or they can sell it off, as a course to make you a data scientist in 6 months or in 3 months or in like a month or like in 30 minutes, like this one. And that's where I want to start, this chain of thought. The role on the left hand side was called data scientist, analytics and product foundation. The one on the right was called data scientist, recommendation and ranking. The right is something what I am at Naukri. I am exactly this, recommendation and ranking. That's my role. And on the left is what that other job was. Now, I don't want to deep dive into this, too much in the sense how this was curated, what is the reason behind that. But let me just give you a rule of thumb. Any big company, probably a FANG or a FANG level company, would say data scientist now only to hire people who are doing analytics and advanced analytics. Data scientists who are doing production software engineering in an advanced form are the ones which are hired by smaller companies, because there people are wearing a lot of hats. And in a simpler way, you can understand it as कि startup का data scientist जो है वो थोड़ा ज़्यादा technically advanced होने वाला है. बड़ी company का data scientist is probably going to be just an elite, data scientist, just or an elite business analyst. That's how I've learned it now, and that's how I've learned it. And what I learned is valuable to you because I work on recruitment data as my bread and butter every single day of my life now for the last 2.5 years. So all I see is job postings, all I see is candidates, and all I build is recommendations. So I know the data inside out, right? Anyway, let's move ahead. Let me just give you a, now that we have talked about this, and I don't want this session to be really long because we've probably been mandated to have 30, 35 minutes. What is the skill set overview, for a data professional? So if you look closely, you would see that software engineering and data engineering are more or less engineering centric. Anybody who is doing software engineering in a company that is building a feature or a module which requires data usage, अभी क्या होता है, front end and back end, you can probably build something just by using a framework, button लगाना है या तो API बनानी. But if your feature now behaves differently because of data, then you will be a software engineer in machine learning. That's what it is. If you are in charge of taking care of that data, getting it to the developer, migrating it, turning it around, twisting it, transforming it, storing it, making it accessible, it's really hard to do all of these things. Then you are a data engineer. Both of these people require a broader knowledge of engineering concepts than of machine learning or statistics, right? On the lower end of the spectrum, the left hand side, lower not in terms of its quality, but in terms of just its position on the chart, people who already have been given some kind of a data which is structured in nature. Most important word of the day, at least right now, is structured and unstructured data. Structured data kya hai? Basically product usage key metrics, right? Customer ke interactions in terms of likes and comments, whatever can be quantified and measured very simply, whatever you have in form of tables. People who explain it to bigger audiences, people who describe it, these people are basically analysts, right? And they can employ some kind of a simple statistical model to build a forecasting range on top of it, right? Excel ke upar they can do forecasting. That's not machine learning. So those people will become mostly business analysts, right? And a fancy term for them in a big company is now a scientist. The real deep. The people that I run away from because I think they're super smart and maybe poll khul jayegi unke samne. Those people are called research scientists now. And these people, they actually work on deploying, newer architectures, to work around with data. These are the ones which deal with neural networks. If you know about these things, these are the ones which deal with deeper algorithms, and they don't care about productionizing things too much. They don't care about going to the market. They go about bringing a paradigm shift. 3 साल पहले किसी ने 2019 में 4 साल हो गए 2016 में बने ट्रांसफॉर्मर को बोला. Transformer, by the way, is an architecture which is behind GPT. GPT stands for generative pre-trained transformers. Here, let's productionize this thing and put it on large scale GPUs so that the inference time can be milliseconds instead of 3 hours. And that's the breakthrough that I want to do. I don't want to maintain the quality too much. I want to maintain the usability, right? GPTs were built in that sense in 2016. The GPT-1 came out in 2018, right? So the people who built GPT are the ones who were research engineers. The people who commoditized GPT are the ones who were deep learning engineers. The people who are now, making it available for you to use every single day are the people who are just basically, software engineers, right? So think about it. On the right hand side, I want to run it through, you very quickly. This is self-explanatory. I'll give you a second to, glance over it. But the big blue circles tell you what are the most important things for you, given what role you are looking to seek, right? So an ML engineer requires, of course, if you just can I use the pointer? Yes. Or this looks like the balls. Oh shit. So the ML engineer, would probably look to have all the skills, except, this is a bit of a, I think software engineering is the most important aspect across these two, segments. And data analyst is simply working with data on a large scale. Data scientists are basically people who are end-to-end, technicians who can not only code, but can go a step beyond, although they cannot be as good as their engineering counterparts in building world-class software applications, because the very word scientist, indicates that you have to keep on experimenting. You have to keep on trying and failing. And data scientists in that sense can only fail in a Jupyter notebook. They can't fail in the real world too much, right? And by very virtue of using a Jupyter notebook to get your day job running, you are not a software engineer which is organized, right? So there is some leeway that is given to them to not be great software engineers, but is because I know, at least the one that I am, if you are a software engineer and if you are in a tech space, for you to transition into data science or product grade data science, is what I'm talking about right now, or product grade machine learning, you have to think of it as an extension to software engineering and not as an alternative. This is not something which is a substitute. There is no zero to hero. If you don't get it by now, let me just be very explicit about it. There is no zero to hero without code data scientist, in a product form, unless they are doing an analyst role. So make no fool of yourselves, know that you are an analyst, even if you are called a scientist. A real machine learning engineer or a data scientist is an extension to software engineers. And these people have to not only build code, but also maintain databases, take care of huge models, and sort of maintain the entire ecosystem, of machine learning, right? This is, a cleaner version of what I said. The only thing which is similar to them, I think everything is similar, except both of these people, they manage large code bases, but these scientists and engineers, they handle models and big data too. That's the only difference, I think. So it's an extension, it's an add-on, it's not a substitute, right? And when I say, when you look at these pictures, you'll see that a developer will always start coding in VS Code, right? They will always start writing code, right? We'll start probably building something line by line in a notebook, and we'll try to model it out, on a small data, and see if our hypothesis, works out. If that works out, we are good. Now, whatever we have coded in a notebook needs to be translated into, full-scale script, which will then be given to the ML team, right, or an engineering team, and then they'll be writing, full-grade machine learning ke upar ka code on top of it, and then just fix that model alongside the code and then deploy it. Let me just take a minute here and tell you something very honestly. A lot of us do projects before we join, the industry in data science, especially in machine learning, wherein we do report our accuracy, our precision, our recall, all these metrics, because we want to impress, recruiters. And we say we have 98% accuracy, 99% accuracy. We have, fine-tuned Llama, we fine-tuned GPT, all of these things, with that much, this much, that much. Industry में 60% से 70% accuracy के ऊपर model slide नहीं जाते. That's the truth. Because anything more than that, anything more accurate than that would require a greater inference time. And a user, वो अपने स्क्रीन पे ना वो बेवकूफ नहीं जो बैठ के 3 सेकंड वेट करेगा आउटपुट आने का. उसको प्रेडिक्शन से तुम्हारा मतलब नहीं कितना तुम्हारा ग्रेट प्रोडक्शन आ गया. उसको चाहिए कि वैल्यू मिलेगी नहीं मिलेगी. So all the production grade models in the world right now are firing their outputs at 60% accuracy, but they have to make it fast. So building a model is not the end of the battle. It's not even the battle. Taking it to production is the battle. And productionizing something, as you know, as an engineer, probably if you are one, is all about latency. It's all about optimization. It's all about availability across different places. It's all about load management, right? हॉटस्टार की स्ट्रीमिंग में 1.5 करोड़ लोग एक साथ मैच देख पाते हैं. दैट्स द मिरेकल. उनकी क्वालिटी कितनी अच्छी कितनी खराब है वो बात की बात है. पीपल जो मुझे स्कोर दिख रहा है ना, अगर छक्का मार के मैच जीत गई टीम और वो घर में पहले छक्का पड़ गया और यहाँ बाद में पड़ा, then I'll be disappointed, yeah, because I want to be a part of the victory. We have to maintain that, latency across hundreds and thousands and millions of people in a single second. So now think about it. Bringing data science or machine learning into production would require you to be knowledgeable about software, and then on top of it, know how to build a model and then manage the model. So that's the idea, I think. And now that I've talked a little bit about it, I think you know what I'm getting to. You know what I'm trying to, move from here. Okay, maybe this was not what I meant, but what I'm getting to is that the journey to reach here cannot be covered in a single day or in a single month, because this is not just an alternative to data to software engineering. Moving ahead, what role does education or certifications play? In getting to a place like this? Well, enough to get you shortlisted, but not enough to get you hired. Your education, your certifications will already get you to get shortlisted, which is the biggest battle to win, at a younger level, because, my mentor told me, Jatin Lukrali is the head of data science at Naukri also, that at the younger levels in the industry, the supply demand ratio is a big problem. Everybody is a data professional now. Everybody is an aspiring data scientist. The supply is too much. The demand is not so much. Whereas as you rise above that little band, at the middle management level, 3 to 5 years, it's completely vacuum. People need good data scientists. People need good engineers, but they aren't any. right? So if you are a 2 or 1 year or a 3 year senior guy in a tech industry, if you get your basics right, if you build your projects well, and if you're able to tell that story right, then you have all the space in the world to get hired. As a fresher, it becomes harder for you because then you need to, make things stand out. Then certifications will come to your help. Anyway, so what role do they play? They play enough role to get you hired, but not enough to get you, shortlisted, not hired. But they certainly do not play enough role to keep you from getting fired. All of these things will not come in, to help you if you're not able to deliver, in your job. And delivery, especially with data science, is an added pressure. Simply because data science, machine learning, AI, ML, all of these fancy things are simply, cash, hungry cows, and they require people to show impact. Any business cannot sustain the costs of these people if they are not churning out value. They'll be the first to get fired because they're not creating impact. जो डेवलपर है वो अपनी ऐप एपीआई बना रहा है और अपनी आगे ऐप का बटन बना रहा है, वो बंदा जरूरी है, ऐप तो बनानी है. बट इफ डेटा साइंस इज नॉट एबल टू क्रिएट इम्पैक्ट, अगर रेवेन्यू नहीं हिल रहा, if you're not getting that 1% movement in the revenue, then you are not a good team, then you are not a good guy, and all the certificates you have, all the skills you have will go to dust. So applicability of your skills is half the battle. The next thing is, care you choose your battles very wisely. You want to make impact, be where you can make impact. So again, how did I move into data science? I think the first thing is I pushed myself to code. Coding, I was very weak at it, so I thought let's just do it every day a little bit. I didn't do it every day, of course, I'm lying, but I did it on and off. I did it once a week, twice a week, but I really got into a habit of coding. I did HackerRank, I did submit a lead code, I built projects around things. So I was thorough with fundamental Python. I didn't have to go to the libraries to concatenate to data frames. Itna mujhe aata tha. Focused on productionizing things and not making complicated deep learning notebooks. I built a dashboard and I deployed it on Heroku, which is a thing that you might know of, and then I put that link on my CV. If somebody can click on that link, they'll go to the dashboard and they'll see it. It's a very simple plotly dashboard. Instead of having a CNN or a GAN in my notebook, who cares? What do you do with that GAN? So try to build small applications, but show that the entire end-to-end cycle. It's very easy. Think about it. But that just speaks more maturely of you. Find a mentor. I found a mentor. Get somebody who's in the industry who can tell you, okay, this is not what is needed. This is what is needed. Read business, read impact, read stories about data science. Where did it really impact? Airbnb ki data science ki story, Uber ki data science ki story. Understand exactly where your contribution will create an impact. Don't just go into the interview thinking कि यार मुझे DSA करके जाना है और मुझे वहाँ पे जाके KNNs या फिर जो logistic regression का answer देना है. It's not about that. That's just round one of the interview. Round two, round three is about case studies. It's about application. They'll ask you how do you build an application and who do you think will use it? How will you tell that? You need to know the bigger picture, right? And networking is the single biggest reason why you can get your break, because it's really hard at the lower levels to get the first break. Which is why I got a launchpad. Laksha was an institution, which I got into. But there are plenty of places. I think it's good to have a specialization, get a degree if you can, get a bits pilani ka MTech hai. There are places which give you some like Coursera ki bhi degrees bahar se hoti university ke saath. Give that time to yourself, and get yourself a specialization and an MSc or an MTech, because it really speaks highly of you. Fifth, and very importantly, this is very personal to me, opportunity is bigger than the reward. The pay at which I was hired was extremely appalling. It was sad for me. But I knew that the opportunity is too big for me. And sometimes when you're looking at your first breakthrough, you can't be a chooser, right? You can't be a picker. Or maybe you can be, but what you choose is then the right kind of work. And that's the opportunity. If you have gotten a breakthrough, get into it head first and then move out and choose your rewards, because things will grow exponentially for you later on. But if you just think about getting into a just highly paying company, you'll be fired in 3 months, you'll have no work to show, and will be like, yeah, tumko dobara kyun le? Everybody who was hired and fired from these Series B, Series C startups as data scientists or as ML engineers, they don't have a job now because they couldn't do anything over there. Wahan data tha hi nahi, right? Patience is bigger than desperation. Wait it out, right? And lastly, interview prep starts from day one. While you are doing whatever you're doing, interview prep hamesha karte raho. Because interview prep is a different ball game altogether. Okay. Unsolicited industry overview. I thought I should give it to you. If you like it, it's great. You can appreciate it. Send me my fair share of money at INS at FBL. That's my UPI. first thing is you're not ready. Let me just be very honest with you. You are hidden inside the armor of false hope that, okay, I'm going to make it because I'll just, do these courses. I'll do that. This is not the case. You need all of these things that I showed you in the previous slide. Second, you're not wanted. The industry is in shambles right now. You are not wanted unless you're super good. People, this is not, an employee driven market anymore. This is an employer driven market. And therefore, they have plenty of options. Everybody's seeking for a job. Nobody's leaving anything right now. Nobody is stealing talent away from them. Nobody's paying extra amounts of money today. People are getting paid for what they are really truly standing for. So at this point in time, what you want is you want to be super good. You want to be the best in the interview. You cannot be, maybe they will not hire you. You cannot be. And just pick a side of the four things I showed you. Prepare yourself to be one. If you are a software engineer, try to become an ML engineer. If you are an analyst, try to become a data scientist, or in that sense, become an advanced analytics person. Whatever. If you are a if you are into DevOps, go into ML ops and become somebody who can deploy models on scale. If you are somebody who is, let's say, already using tools in writing like SQL queries, try to go to data engineering. Each of them are very equally rewarding, but pick your battle. Yeah, don't assume that you could do anything and you can be the jack of all trades, because wahi hoga. You will apply to every job and you'll be rejected everywhere because you're not even reading the job ka JD. Call to sabko same hi bol rahe hain wo log, data scientist, but kaam to alag alag kara rahe, right? Pick a side. And again, this is the last bit here. Sorry to extend this. Is it okay if you go for like 5 minutes?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So here are a few things which at least I focused on, or I think I'm now focusing on when I'm looking to look at jobs and I'm looking at people taking their jobs. A lot of companies, first thing, brand themselves as places which do AI, ML, DS. First of all, rule of thumb: never trust a person or a company which uses the word AI and ML in the same line. They're lying. There is AI is different. AI is different, right? AI ML को एक word में बोलने वाले लोग झूठे हैं. Places which brand themselves as cutting edge technology, series A, series B, उनके पास डेटा ही नहीं है यार. Data science कहाँ करोगे जब डेटा नहीं है तो? Versus places which have data and they don't brand themselves as like great data science की team, cutting edge AI ML. Data है तो सब data science करेंगे अब, because करना ही पड़ेगा. Naukri.com, by the way, if you're not aware of it, InfoEdge is the largest conglomerate of internet companies in India. We have Naukri, Shiksha, Jeevansathi, 99 Acres, Ambition Box, Coding Ninjas, so on and so forth. सबकी पूरी एक इंसान की पूरी लाइफ मैप कर रखी है यार, शादी करने से लेके, पढ़ाई करने से लेके, जॉब करने से लेके, घर ढूंढने से लेके, हर चीज. जितना डेटा हमारे पास है, nobody has that data. For us to do data science, it's a piece of cake, and we are the ones who are suited to do it. A startup with just Series B की funding, giving you 30 LPA का salary cannot do anything because data ही नहीं है. But what will you create there? Second thing, money versus culture. A lot of companies pay good money, but they don't have a data culture. If you don't have a culture of data, then you are not building products which go on, to customers. Live jana is very important. Notebook champions bahut hain, notebook warriors bahut hain. Kaggle grandmasters will not become greatest data scientists. They'll become greatest, bloggers. People who can actually create value are the ones which have been a part of a team, which has the culture of making data products. Try to find those teams. And these companies which you see in the bottom are some of the companies, by the way, who have a very strong, proclivity on the right hand side of the spectrum to do all of these things. They have great data sets and they have great culture. Lastly, the brand and the team. A great company might have a bad data science team. Joining that will not give you any good. An okay company with a great team will help you scale a lot of heights. Data science is not a one man's battle or a machine learning engineer's battle or an ML or a deep learning engineer's battle. I was blown away by how little I knew when I joined my team. Literally today, there is not a single day which goes by without me asking anybody for help. Wisdom of crowd, statistically, historically, has been proven to be better than one man's lone genius. Teams, देखो कहाँ पर अच्छी हैं. Companies like Myntra, InfoEdge, Amazon, InMobi, Microsoft, they have great teams. Walmart, by the way, and they are great brands also. But going into, I don't want to downrate any company here, but you know what I'm talking about. All these great, humongously huge startups, paying big money, they will have a stupid team. What will you do there? 2 साल के बाद जाओगे तो क्या बताओगे काम क्या किया, right? So that's how I think you should, look at the job, outlook. What would I do if I could go back? I would read a book, most importantly, which I now read every day. I have it over here, called Hands-on Machine Learning. Right? Read that book for fun, 10 pages a day, 6 months, and you will change your life. take that DL specialization or by Andrew Ng. It's the fundamental thing that you need to understand the math behind deep learning. Chip Human is another girl who wrote a brilliant book on ML interviews. Read that for fun. Kaggle every Sunday for 2 hours. Just copy other people's notebook and just keep pressing shift enter just to see hundreds and hundreds and lines of hundreds of lines of code pass through your eyes. Don't innovate. Just copy, but do it over and over again so you know. And of course, hacker rank and SQL lead code. All of these things you should do if you are trying to. I would have done if I went back. And what I would not do, I honestly am a victim of these things. I have done a couple of courses like this, 0 to hero data science in 30 days. By the way, if you don't know it yet, it's a scam. Don't do it. Don't fall into these snares of delusion. Please don't do that. Right? The last bit now, which is about the salaries, because you're all waiting for it, I think. And this is mostly, I should have made these pictures a little bigger. But what I'm trying to show here is that we are talking about the salary brackets, across data science jobs in 2020, right? Because this is the data I got. And what I'm saying is that the bell curve peaks around 6 to 15 lakhs. This is where most of the salaries are. 20 to 50, you see a small spike somewhere towards the end, right? Because that was the last year that had a boom year, which has been normalized now this year. And uske baad, you barely see any peaks. So know that, yaar, if you are expecting a pay of 35, 30, 25 LP and above that, you are not just a data scientist, but you are a really smart data scientist who's been hired in a really smart team, because whatever little people they needed, because they don't need a lot of people, right? They need 100 people in a team, max to max. Data science teams are not that big. Whatever little people they needed, usme se there are 5 of them which probably have left and they want new people. And you have made it to those 5 spots. The odds of those are very low. And hence, you cannot really aspire to change into this profession simply because you want a bigger pay. A bigger pay is not equivalent to getting a job in data science. That is equivalent to getting a job in data science, you being really smart, you being really opportunistic and lucky, and at the same time, everything around you, being, falling in the right place. Right. So again, the pie chart over here shows that 3 to 6 lakhs is 23% of the jobs. 6 to 10 is 20%. So I think 23 plus 20 is 43 plus 15 is 58. 60% of the jobs are paying less than 15 lakhs. So make your ambitions realistic. Of course, product-based companies will pay a little more than that all the time. And on the right, what you see is that blue, curve has saturated a little bit and has come down. That's the growth of data science roles available on the internet. Although it has reduced, it's not a sign of doom. Somebody posted this graph just half of it and showed that this is dying. What you see is that companies have now learned to distinguish between different data roles, and now they've put out opportunities specifically asking for different roles, and hence the other roles have exploded. So now you need to find out what kind of a person you are, what are your expectations, how much time do you have, what are your skill sets so far, what are you ready to do in order to get into this place, and exactly how much resources you need to refer in order to do what you want to exactly do. That's it from my side. I think we can move to Q&A now. Thank you.
So we have a couple of questions. I was just trying to find out the common ones that we can take. So one common question that I encountered here is that, is programming required in data science? Like, do you need to have knowledge of coding to be a data scientist?
Programming is required to be alive now. But programming in the sense, not hardcore programming, because of course things can be automated now. There is GPT which can write code for you. But it needs to be told what do you want to write, right? And at the same time, again, a data scientist, if you are looking at one who is hiring himself or herself as an analyst, maybe not so much. Their job is a little tool-based, but again, a lot of SQL querying, a lot of probability has to be coming through. But a product company ka ML guy or a data science guy, they need to code. So yes, coding is very important.
Okay. Let me take one question, which is like the most easiest to answer here. Please tell the name of the book you showed.
Hands-on ML. Hands-on machine learning.
Hands-on ML. Okay.
By O'Reilly. That's the book. Hands-on machine learning.
Okay. So the next question that I think is common. We also got it at the time of registration. Is that if someone is into computer science, say BCA, or they are planning or pursuing to do they are pursuing or planning to pursue a BTech in computer science, then what is the roadmap for them? Like, should they transition into data science through some particular courses or any other extra degrees, or what is your suggestion for them?
So, sorry, where are they right now? Have they done a CS degree or they're starting to do?
Yeah, so there is one person who said that would it be sensible for me to do a BTech or BSc in computer engineering and then transition into data science? And there is also someone who is already pursuing a BCA, then how they can, sort of transition into data science.
I think it's obviously a little preferable to do a BTech, because that sort of sets you on the same pedestal as everybody else who's applying, because you don't want your degree to be like a pushback on you, right? However, at the same time, it's not exactly such that you need to be a BTech to get into data science. A BCA would help, of course. What is more important is that, have you done great projects and have you written about them and have you built a good network? If you are able to spend 6 months talking to people and showing them what you have done, you will most likely end up getting an interview call or just a referral, which will get you talking to someone, and then capitalize it. Because as Eminem said, you only get one chance.
Okay. So I just got another question related to this only. Should I take someone should take BTech in AI and DS or BTech in computer science and then take data science as a minor degree?
यार AI and DS कुछ नहीं होता, आप CS कोर पढ़ो और आप सिर्फ उसका एक्सटेंशन की तरह इमेजिन करो कि डेटा साइंस है. डेटा साइंस तो कुछ है ही नहीं, पहली बात तो एनालिसिस है. If you want to do some kind of product grade machine learning, then it is better to go on for a master's degree later on after working in the industry for a little while, or in your coursework, if you have a CS and a minor in something else, that's better. Instead of doing a fancy DS and in ML ka koi course hi kar liya, BTech engineering, that's not, I don't think that's proper.
Okay. One more question I think we can address is that what is the roadmap to become a data scientist? Any thoughts on that? Okay.
Code for fun. Know that you have to tell great stories, which means be good with visualizations. Learn 3 things for sure: a coding language, a database language, and a spreadsheet. So if you're good with Python, if you're good with SQL, and if you're good with Excel, in most cases you will end up being in that spectrum that can get you a data job.
Okay. One more question I think we can take, which we got at the time of registration, is someone who is already pursuing data science. How can they improve further? What can they do to, be better at their skills?
I think they should stop being tunnel visioned into building small features. They should zoom out and they should think about the entire system that they are building for, and try to replicate that system in a small, Sunday seminar for themselves. Look at the bigger picture, understand the dynamics. Business is more important than innovation. Tech doesn't decide what gets built. Business decides what gets built. And if techies were to build, they would have never sold. So it's more important to know why you're building what you're building, and try to take entire systems into picture and try to build the entire system, even if it's a very simple version of building a system. Which means, simple language, mein objective answer ye hai ki chatbot ka ek module build karne ki jagah, try to build a very simple chatbot which says namaste if you say namaste. That's it. But aap pura banao chatbot usko.
Okay. I'm getting more questions. How much maths is required for data science?
For interviews, a lot. For practical purposes, not so much. When I say a lot, by the way, I mean statistics, is more important. Linear algebra, देखो दो बातें हैं. Maths, this is a good question actually. See, काम करते टाइम पे statistics काफी यूज होती है. इंटरव्यू देते टाइम में statistics and algebra यूज होता है. जो इंसान डीप लर्निंग में काम करेगा जाके, they will have to use algebra more than anything else. जो इंसान मशीन लर्निंग में काम करेगा जाके, right, वो इंसान will use statistics more than anything else. So इंटरव्यू के लिए यू हैव टू सी कि किस कंपनी किस रोल के लिए प्रिपेयर कर रहे हो. अगर आप प्रोडक्ट सॉर्ट ऑफ इंजीनियरिंग में जा रहे हो एंड आपको लग रहा है कि आप डीप लर्निंग जैसी चीजों पे काम करने वाले हो, जो कि होता ही है, जैसे सर्च रिकमेंडर सिस्टम्स में जो काम करते हैं जाके, वहां पर डीप लर्निंग इज इंपॉर्टेंट, मैथ्स इज इंपॉर्टेंट. अब वो मैथ्स भी कौन सी होती है? जनरली मैथ्स बेसिकली बेसिक लेवल की मैथ्स 11-12 की. बट क्या है, आपको लीनियर अलजेब्रा में क्या आता है? आपको मैट्रिक्स आना चाहिए, मैट्रिक्स मल्टीप्लिकेशन, ऑल ऑफ दैट. You need to know vector and algebra, and you need to know some kind of, let's say, set theory. That is about it for starters. And बाकी statistics में आपको you need to know hypothesis testing, and you need to know distributions. कि sampling एम्पलिंग कैसे करते हैं population के through. यही है मैथ्स का overview.
Okay, I'll take one last question. That's the question that I've just received. Can a BCA student apply for product-based companies as a data scientist?
Absolutely, they can, but they need to have something under their belt to show them that they can be hired as well. So anybody can apply. But the problem is you need to have something on your CV, GitHub का link होना चाहिए, and you need to have 4 projects which are running somewhere on Heroku or somewhere on live, and they can click and see कि हाँ इसको आता है. Internships के लिए apply करो, jobs तो मिल जाती हैं बाद में, लेकिन internship मिल गई, then you will probably get a PPO, right? It's hard, and you can't get a job without getting a network then. So build that networks, keep texting people on LinkedIn, and you'll get someone who will say कि हाँ fine, भेजो.
Okay.
And best thing is कि यार you should always think about getting a specialization, get a degree, get something which tells you कि हाँ you don't have a 3-month का course, you have a 1 year का course which probably gives you an edge.
I see. Okay. One more question. Let me see if we can take it. Okay. I don't think that it would be relevant for the. Okay. How can we get internships online if we study in tier 3 colleges?
You can't. Let me be very abrupt about it, very brazen about it. It's really hard for you to get an internship if you are in a tier 3 college, unless you don't act like you are from a tier 3 college. Tier 1 college में एक ही advantage होता है कि उनके पास campus में खुद आते हैं लोग job देने के लिए. उसके अलावा what they do is, these people, whatever they do, it is out on the internet for people to see. You have to build that profile. You have to build that portfolio. आपने 12th में मेहनत नहीं करी, आपने 10th में मेहनत नहीं करी, तभी आप tier 3 में गए हो. अगर आप मेहनत करते तो आप वहां चले जाते जहां आपको जाना था ऊपर. अब आप कह रहे हो कि यार अब हमको इंटर्नशिप भी चाहिए और हमें अभी भी मेहनत नहीं करनी है. Then you are thinking of this universe in the wrong context. So you need to butter and oil yourself thoda kam, and you need to understand कि यार we haven't worked hard and we want to get where they are. So we need to work harder then. So give yourself that 6 months ka push, build projects, build portfolios, and before long you will see people will be like हाँ इसको काम आता है, हमें eventually काम ही करवाना है, कम पैसे लेगा, छोटे कॉलेज से काम भी कर लेगा, मौका दे दो. एक बार घुस गए then उसके बाद you'll get another मौका, ऐसे बढ़ जाएंगे.
Okay, I think we cannot take more questions because we are already running out of time. We had 26 questions, but I just, thought of identifying the important ones that can cater to the wider audience. So we can close the session now. Thank you so much, Narayan, for your insights. It was a pretty interactive session. People asked a lot of questions, and we have a good attendance as well today. Also, thank you for all the attendees who joined, who contributed, and thank you so much again. We are just closing the session now.
Thank you everyone. Have a good weekend.